live in the webinar app. We should be good to go. Welcome back, everyone, to our panel this evening. Let me know if you can see me, you can hear me. If not, I'm going to type in refresh the page in the chat page. But let us know if you can see us. I think we are good to go, though. So, like I said, welcome back to today's panel. I appreciate seeing some of you guys who've been here every single evening. Some of you have even attended our 2 p.m. workshops and the panels. So that's really great to see. And I'm really looking forward to this because we're going to be talking about how to launch your course with an impact and how to have an impact with online courses. And I am joined with the most incredible panel today. We have Asad Chaudhry, Julie Stoyan, and Zach Rochelo. And I'm sorry if I've butchered any of your last names. I think the best way to start, though, is just to go through each and every one of you. If you want to share a bit about who you are, what you're up to. Julie, let's start with you.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. My name is Julie. I run a business brand called Create Your Laptop Life. I sell courses on digital marketing, funnel building, design, copy, things like that. Basically, any of the tools and skills you need to do an online business in today's internet environment. And so that's what I do, and I'm loving every single minute of it.
Yeah, and Julie's being very humble. She is a rock star when it comes to online courses and launching. Next, let's move on to Asad.
Yeah, hey there, everyone. Thanks again for joining us today. So I built a brand and a company in the magic niche. It was like a strong hobby of mine growing up, learning magic tricks and card tricks and things like that. So I built my audience mainly on YouTube by teaching sleight of hand technique and whatnot. And then I created a number of courses to sell to those more dedicated students. So it's 52cards.com. It's cards with a K is the name of my brand. And yeah, that's just kind of a brief summary of what I do.
That's brilliant. And anyone in the chat, if you guys recognize anyone, because I love that we're not just doing online marketing. There's so many different niches. And last but not least, we have Zach, who's from flexibledietlifestyle.com. Zach,
yes.
Welcome.
So we're in the fitness and nutrition space, and it's flexibledietinglifestyle.com. And we also have a very popular Instagram and YouTube page that we're known for. And so what we do is what we're known for more, and how we got our big step into the industry was taking your favorite cheat meals and then making them and recreating them in a way that you can fit them into your diet on a daily basis. So there's no more need to cheat anymore. But now it's moved into flexible dieting education, which is more lifestyle nutrition and understanding the opportunity cost of food and helping everybody from a soccer mom to somebody who wants to step on stage and helping them create a nutritional program around their lifestyle to where nutrition enhances your life and doesn't take away from it. And that is the power of it. And so we do have, we offer courses, Flexible Dieting 101, and we're building more advanced courses in the future. And we make most of our revenue from our membership site, our recipe books, and our coaching. So that's a little bit about us.
That's brilliant. And what's really interesting is not only are you guys in different niches, you all have had very different approaches to launching your online programs and your courses or your membership sites. And I'd like to direct my first question to you, Julie, because you have done some very successful funnels and you have quite a few different courses. But what are the things that you do pre-launch to grow your audience of potential students?
Yeah, so it's really interesting you asked me that question because oftentimes I try to grow the audience while I'm doing the course at the same time. And, you know, in traditional education, right, we sign up for college, we pay our tuition, and then we go attend the class live. If you've never been online in the market before, you really want to know how people are going to respond to your offer, if they like your offer. So I actually teach people how to create the vehicle for the offer before they actually create the course. And I just tell them, listen, before you want to do Facebook ads, you know, see if you can find 10 people that are interested in this first. Like go door to door, whether it's door to door in Facebook groups or door to door in the real world. Let's build the vehicle. Let's build the sales page. Let's, you know, get it all ready. And then let's go see if we can get 10 people and then bring those 10 people in and build it with them. Your course is going to be so much better, I promise you, because they're going to give you all kinds of great tips and feedback and ideas. And once you have that money in hand, you've got the market evidence that there are people willing to buy. you've got a better course, you've got testimonials, and then you can turn it into a funnel and just scale it with ads after that.
That's awesome. And when you say find people to buy it, what are some ways that people could do that? So let's say they have a course. Do they just say, hey, I have a course on knitting, who wants to pay $97 for it? What's your process for that?
Yeah, so what I basically say is the very first thing you want to do is you want to email your existing network. Okay, so whether that's your list or whether that's your family and your friends, like, hey, I have a course on knitting. I'm really excited. I'm going to be launching it. It's going to cost, let's say it's going to cost $140, but I'm looking for 10 to 20 people who are interested in doing the course with me live. I'm going to give a discount. You know, you can just call it a seed launch, a beta, whatever you want. Once you've reached out to your network, the next thing I would do is go on Facebook on your just regular profile and say, hey, and this is how I did one of my very first courses. Hey, I want to teach a course on web design. If I get 10 students interested, I'll go ahead and do that course. And I did it live on Zoom or whatever. And I got 10 people. You can do it in groups. You can ask people who have a list and, you know, say, hey, do you think anybody in your network would be interested? I'll give you, you know, a bit of the proceeds. And you just really, like, I think sometimes people forget on the internet that, like, organic still does really work well if you can reach out to people individually. So Facebook is great. Existing family and friends. And then if you have, like, if you literally have no friends, like no friends that are interested, and you have to do Facebook ads, which is nobody here. But if that were the case, you definitely have to come out with something free, really good. And it would have to be the kind of free offer that is the perfect bait for the people that you're going to sell to. So you could do that, but I don't recommend it unless you really know that the market is going to love what you have.
Yeah, no, validating your idea is so important. And I think a lot of the times people have probably gone through that process and seen that maybe I should tweak my offer, or maybe this isn't as popular as I thought it was going to be. And on the note of organic reach, Asad, you had a very unique and interesting way of marketing your very first course. I think it was your first course.
It was my first course, yeah.
So Asad actually did a Kickstarter campaign, and I think your goal originally was to get $5,000, and you surpassed that by raising $66,000.
Yeah, I did really well. So yeah, I guess just a little bit of background on that and how I launched my course. I started on YouTube. So, you know, YouTube has, you know, since its inception become really, I would argue, the world's leading resource for learning, for tutorial content. You know, first place you go if you want to learn something new these days is typically YouTube. So I saw that gap, and you know, I saw that a lot of people were interested in learning magic, especially because in the past, if you want to learn magic and become a magician, you had to really, you either had to know a magician personally. There's not that many that you come across in the real world, or you had to buy these like really expensive books and DVDs and things like that. So YouTube really became a wealth of a resource for a lot of these younger students who wanted to learn magic. So I built up my audience on there. So for the first, I think 2 or 3 years after I started my brand, I didn't sell anything. I was in a lucky position where, you know, I was doing electrical engineering on the side. So I didn't need to monetize right away. So I just built up this massive audience on YouTube. Sorry, that was my Alexa.
That's okay. It's like the commercials with the
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I waited till I had maybe, I think I had a couple 100,000 subscribers. I had provided a ton of free value. I had demonstrated a lot of credibility, and then I just did this Kickstarter campaign, 30 days long. I promoted it like crazy, and it worked out really well. It was a great way, and I was able to sell the course before it even existed. So that was like the most beautiful thing about it all. So yeah, it did really well. We raised like $66,000, and then I fleshed out the course. It was received really well, and then now I'm kind of repeating that process. I'm continuing to teach on YouTube, and then every now and then I launch a more premium product for those of the more dedicated students who want to learn more.
Now, what's interesting about your Kickstarter campaign is you added a physical element to it where you were actually sending physical things for people that signed up, which is obviously very different to just your typical automated email sequence. And I think in certain tiers you would include a t-shirt or something like that. Is that something you would recommend for maybe some of our viewers that would love to experiment with doing a Kickstarter campaign, or could it just be like an ebook?
Yeah, I think receiving something physical, like I also run an e-commerce shop right now, so that's like something that I deal with a lot. And like a physical product, there's definitely an appeal to that. People love receiving stuff in the mail. However, from a logistical standpoint, if you're a course creator and you're a teacher, like you might be biting off more than you can chew. I know I really struggled during that first Kickstarter campaign to fulfill all those physical packages because I didn't have a warehouse at the time. I didn't have a fulfillment center. I was doing it all myself. And it was very time consuming to do that. And that time probably could have been spent better elsewhere. Now I have a warehouse, so like I can deal a lot better with physical packages and shipping them out. So no, I mean, I would say if you're just getting started and you're interested in teaching and being a course creator, I wouldn't worry about the physical side of things yet. But in the future, if you have a system in place that helps you ship out those packages for you, and you have an ideal physical product, like for me, it was a deck of cards. Like my audience, they all are obsessed with decks of cards, so it's a very natural item to send them or to sell to them. But yeah, I imagine a lot of niches may not have a physical product that is as fitting towards that niche. So yeah, I guess it just depends. But I would say don't do it until you know that there's a demand for it and until you have kind of a logistical system in place to help you do that, because it can kind of consume your life.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I'd love for you guys in the chat. I'm already seeing you guys are adding in all of your questions and your comments. But if anyone here is having those aha moments where you're like, I would love to try a Kickstarter campaign, I would love if you could add it in the chat. Now, speaking of, you said you grew your YouTube audience. Now, Zach, you are also on YouTube, but you are also doing incredible things on Instagram. But I think once we get to a certain point when we're growing our following, it's easy to start focusing on the number and not the people behind that. And your Instagram, you have an incredibly large following, but it still feels like this tight-knit community and you're engaging with people's comments. How have you kept that as you've been growing, and how has that helped with your membership site and the things that you're launching?
Oh, it's unbelievable in the sense that like we focus on like, and with anybody that asks for advice on what you're doing, I said, make your followers feel like the most special people in the world. Like it's going deeper rather than wider. It's like, I know without a doubt if we had 500,000, it's not as we get more engagement than most accounts that have 500,000, a million followers. We have 123,000, and my engagement is ridiculous. So anytime I have a call to action or anything, I automatically, we get tons and tons of engagement. So for example, if I put out a poll, Instagram has this amazing thing now to where whenever I put out a poll, I can say, would you guys be interested in me creating something like this? Yes or no. And I get in a 24-hour period so much engagement telling me it's this data, telling me if it's a good thing or not. And they know, like, and trust me. And one of the things that they know without a doubt is I'm unbiased. I don't take any salary from any of my sponsors, none. And so they know that without a doubt, I'm not doing anything because there's money coming my way. We make our own money. And we've always prided ourselves on that. We don't really do brand deals. We don't really do anything like that because we want to keep that trust 100%. And so we don't do anything unless it's a hell yes. If it's not, it's a no. And that's one of the things that we've prided ourselves on, is just integrity over anything. So when we put something out, people know it's amazing. And so when we launched our first course on Teachable, we only took 50 beta students. We sold out in, I think it was, we put it on our story. We didn't even add it as a post on the Instagram. We put it on our story, and it was a swipe up feature. We were doing a beta, and it was paid. And we sold out, I think, in 12 minutes.
Oh, wow.
I think it was 12 minutes. We only wanted 50. We only took 50 because we wanted to use that as like a trial period, because we're going to be relaunching it here soon. And we're going to probably get around 1,000 every month at least to be joining this. And we're going to make more challenges out of it. But we took 50. We've gathered 37 amazing testimonials out of those 50. All 50 finished the course, and it went super well. But that's the power of qualified followers. So when people ask, oh, should I use these services to buy more followers? followers or to get more comments or da 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 da. No, focus on who you have right now. It doesn't take a lot. I made my first 100K, $100,000 on Instagram when I had, I think, 20,000 followers.
Yeah.
It's just over time, you just scale it the right. People are like, when was that moment where you just really hit momentum? It's like, no, we just didn't let momentum stop. We just gained a little bit every single day. And that's where we've gotten to this point. There was never no peak anywhere. It was just like the slow, gradual process, this right here. And then that's where we've gotten. And so now people have been following us since we've had 1,000 followers, and they've seen the progression. And that's how we've been able to create brand awareness and build that trust and have so much, so many people have great things to say, is because we've done it the right way. And no one's ever been able to say anything bad about it.
It's so interesting. For those of you watching, if you were on the panel yesterday, all my days are mixed into one. But we were talking about your followers, and it was Daniel DiPiazza and Nathan Chan. No, sorry, it's 2 days ago on day 2. And we came around that concept discussing Kevin Kelly's 1,000 True Fans. And, you know, I love when we're doing these discussions that the same things come up over and over again. And it really isn't about the number of people that you have, it's who they are and if they are the right types of people. Now, the other thing, and Zach, you kind of mentioned about paying for followers, and, you know, there's this idea that we want to have that one big launch. We want to have get 10,000 people on our email list, and then that's going to be when our online course business grows. Now, Julie, you have quite a few different courses, and it's easy to think that every time you launch a course, you find an entire new audience of people to market it to. But am I correct to believe that you do actually have quite a few repeat customers?
Yeah. So anybody can sell something once. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that doesn't really mean anything because you can trick people once. But it's really to make a living on the internet where it's like a sustainable living. You really want to create that experience where you can sell to customers again and again, because there's really only 3 ways to make money, right? Find more customers, charge more, or sell them more often, right? And we talk about something called like consumption, where it's like you want people to be consuming your content, because the more they consume it, the more likely they are to buy the next thing that you have to offer. So it's in your best interest to really create a course that, you know, they really want to take action on, so that you can create another course. Maybe it's a more advanced level later on and they're ready to go to that next level. So I see people saying, oh, you have to have a huge social media following. And, you know, we love those big, crazy launches where we see, you know, you make $100,000 in 5 minutes. But really everything starts with your ability to network with small groups of people. Because if, you know, one of the greatest examples of this for me is that I entered an affiliate contest last year. And I was competing against like people like Tony Robbins and Jeff Walker and like big, like Grant Cardone, big, huge people with millions of followers. And I beat them all. And I beat them all in the contest because I've spent a lot of time nurturing my community. It's way more important for me to develop those relationships with people so that they will buy again and again and again, rather than always looking for a new customer, because those new customers are twice as expensive as the ones that you've already got.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you said this. I really want to reiterate that we have access to all of the data for all of our launches. And I'm telling you, the people that you're seeing that are being successful on a consistent basis, those are the people that started off small. There's a lot of people that have really big launches because they had a really good marketing campaign, but because they didn't create the connection, they didn't have the right type of audience, they have to keep creating like these new groups of people to market their course to, because it's not sustainable. So I'm really glad that you brought that up. Now, Assad, speaking of audiences, you have grown a pretty big YouTube following to, I think, over 800,000 at this point. Uh-huh. But do you just market to the people on your channel, or have you grown an email list as well and you like keep in touch with them there?
Yeah, no, I mean, it started off on YouTube, but since then I've branched off to a number of different platforms. I try to be everywhere. So in addition to the YouTube channel, I also have an email list. I have a Facebook group to kind of manage the community of people so that they can kind of engage with each other. I'm on Instagram. I got a Facebook fan page. So yeah, no, I hit them everywhere. I would still consider YouTube the kind of the core of it all. But I love Instagram, especially now with the stories, and now you can like link directly to certain pages. Like Instagram has been getting more and more of my focus as time goes on. And email, of course, we all know the value in email. So yeah, no, I do it all, but having one strong platform is a great way to build other platforms. I built initially my Instagram page directly from YouTube, and getting that head start, getting that bump in the beginning really helped my Instagram page take off. So yeah, I mean, focusing on one area is good, but it's, I wouldn't neglect the other social platforms, which are all extremely valuable.
So here's an interesting question, because your Instagram isn't just photos of you. Obviously, you have your products that you're talking about, your videos. For someone that's watching this that wants to start doing more live stories or Instagram stories, and for those of you that are new to Instagram, it's really just you can share parts of your day, you can do little video clips, and people can watch them. What kind of content do you add? Is it just you and you create this personal brand around you, or do you show tutorials and things like that?
Yeah, well, through the stories, it's not really the best mechanism for teaching or tutorial content. Personally, I use it for just like my niche. It's magic, but it's also very heavily related to playing cards. And playing cards, there's a lot of great product photography around that, this really cool design. So I like to highlight just beautiful photos and videos of cards in action, which is very relevant to my niche. And then, if I ever put a new piece of content on YouTube, then I'll use a story to be like, hey, new video up, go check it out. Here's what you're going to learn, that kind of thing. It's a great way to keep people updated and kind of in the loop and whatnot. But, depending on your niche, I think that is really what's going to, dictate how you use those stories in Instagram in general. If you're more of like a personality, then stories are just a great way for people to kind of see your life and to get across your personality and show them who you are. Or you can kind of show them behind the scenes of an operation. People like to see that. So yeah, it depends. But I guess the key thing is that you should be using all these platforms differently. So you shouldn't use Instagram in the same way that you're using YouTube. You shouldn't use email the same way that you're using Facebook. You need to learn what each of these platforms is really best for, and optimize each one in that way.
That's brilliant. Now, Zach, I want to move on to you, but before we do that, everyone in the chat, if you have any questions that are coming in, like there's something that Assad said or Julie said or Zach said, and you have this burning question you want me to ask, type into the chat now so we can ask it. There's a little bit of a delay. And while you're doing that, so Zach, we were speaking, I think it was a couple weeks ago, and you were saying how, you've grown your Instagram following, you have your audience of people that are in your courses, but you found that now with different social media platforms, how they're changing their algorithms, the things that maybe worked 2 years ago or a year ago just aren't as effective now. And you brought up a very interesting point on partnerships and collaborations. And I think that's something that can be applied to everyone at every stage. Can you talk to us a bit about what you do with partnerships and how you've used that to actually elevate your brand?
Absolutely. So the biggest thing, especially with Instagram, and what we notice is your organic reach has just plummeted. It's one of those things that Instagram's turning into Facebook. Facebook, you have to pay for reach. And in the beginning, everybody was seeing all your posts. Now it's much harder. And so you pay to boost your posts and you reach a larger audience. Instagram's becoming that same way. So whenever I post on Instagram, on average, between 10 and 15% of my followers are actually seeing my actual post. And so, I mean, and it is what it is, but it's one of those things that when you go and you do, and that's why consistency is everything. You can't assume somebody saw your post. So just consistent content, great content, not just relying on one piece of content is king. So if we post twice a day, no matter what, and we're consistent with our content. But one way to help us grow, as in going wider, is our collaborations. So we travel a lot and we film episodes for our YouTube channel where we go and cook for big name influencers and celebrities. And what happens is we're able to tap into their audience because they shout us out on either their YouTube page or their Instagram page. And we have a new funnel of people that have seen our page for the first time. And the beauty of Instagram is it's your portfolio. And on average, we know that somebody's just scrolling for about 10 minutes whenever they come to our page, and then they click the follow. And that's a beauty of what we're doing, because then we have a qualified follower, because we only do these with people that we think whose followers would actually resonate with what we're doing. And it works out super well. So these collaborations, it's helping each other out. It's content for them. They're getting a full day of eating, which is fun. They get amazing food, but then we also get to build a relationship and figure out how we can help each other. And I don't think people are doing that enough.
Do you ever, so you do collaborations with people, and now for your niche, it makes sense to cook for them. Obviously, it's not going to be for everyone. But do you ever do them not just for getting followers, but for promoting your course or your membership?
Not yet, because what happens is our content actually does it for itself. I don't really have to promote it. People will scroll and they'll be like, wow, I really want this. And then they can do that. But anytime we're with them, we give them a discount code that they can offer to their following for any of our products, any of them, any and all of them. And that's usually, it works super well. We can track that because we know what's being used. And the beautiful nature of it is all of them never want commission. They just do it because they know, like, and trust us at the end of the actual, and they think their followers are really going to get a lot of value from it. And we've never had to do that, which is it's a testament. And we've been the definition of focusing on content over everything. We've never done a Facebook ad, and we're like, Noah. Noah thinks I'm like the biggest crazy person in the world because I haven't done it, and of course we're going to navigate into it, but it's proof of concept. We've found more than 10 people to say that we've done it the right way, and we haven't had to go the advertising route. And so now we're starting to dabble in that, and the effectiveness of it is going to be through the roof because we have proof of concept over and over and over again, and we built it the right way. And that's the biggest thing. So when we do have a big launch or anything like that, we're going into the physical product world here soon. We have a network not only of people that we've collaborated with that will help us with those launches, but they have our back forever. And that's the thing, is just going into it, just knowing that we're just trying to build a relationship. I want us to call each other friends for 10 years from now in any collaboration that we're doing, because not a lot of people are doing that.
Yeah, no, that's a really great point. And for those of you watching, even if you're just starting out, so you do not need to find a celebrity to partner with, and that's going to make your brand. Have a think now. I'd love it if you could, even if you can think of 2 names and type them into the chat, but think of 2 to 5 people that have your ideal audience. Maybe they have a small audience or they have a very similar size audience to you, but just being introduced to a group of people that know, like, and trust whoever that partner is, I think can make a huge impact. So have a think about that, because, even if you hear people partnering with celebrities, or you hear people having hundreds of thousands of followers on YouTube, these concepts and these strategies are things that you can break down no matter what level you're at, I think.
And can I add something?
Totally.
Yes. Okay, awesome. So one thing as well, and what we've noticed, which is pretty crazy, is we've collaborated with people with 1 or 2 million followers. But the thing is, they got their followers off of 1 or 2 big moments in time. And so whenever they have a call to action for their audience to do anything, they don't listen. They're not qualified followers. They're there for they're there for more entertainment value or just by chance. And they're not actually somebody that's going to be willing to pay. So I see people with 1, 2 million followers, and they're not making anything because nobody wants to buy their stuff. And they don't understand. They don't understand, okay, well, why is this? And it's because it is a slow road. It is. If you want to build a qualified audience, it is a slow roll. But just focusing on going deeper. Like, if you have a small profile, answering every message, answering every comment. Do the little things, because the other people that these people are following are not doing it.
Yeah, that's a great point. And people have been asking me to answer or ask Connor's question. And it actually ties on to what you were saying, Zach, of not paying for Facebook ads yet. And I'm going to actually bring this one over to you, Julie, because I think you've experienced in both sections. But Connor asks, how can you drive traffic most efficiently without paying for ads on Facebook and Google? And is that something that you would recommend? Is there a certain stage in business where we should start considering that? What are your thoughts on that, Julie?
Yeah, so what I tell people is that when you're about to run traffic, make sure you have a good car. So traffic is your gas, and your funnel or your sales page or whatever you have to sell your stuff is ready to go. So before you start driving traffic, you got to have that vehicle ready to gas up. So that's the first thing. And once you have that, you have to pick the types of traffic that work for you. So we all have a limited amount of time and money. So if you have limited money, you may have to go some of the routes that take a little bit more time. So a perfect example would be SEO, so search engine optimization, writing really good blog posts that get searched, and then they read the blog post, and then there's a free offer, and then they get led to your course. That's one way. Another way is Pinterest. So if you like to write those blog posts, you can go ahead and get those on Pinterest and drive traffic that way. If writing isn't your thing, you could perhaps start a podcast. Podcasts are great for building trust because they hear your voice and they download it on their phone. And you can always drive them to something for free after you do the podcast. Now, maybe you don't want to do a podcast. Maybe instead what you should do is go find podcasts that are already happening and see if you can become a guest on their podcast. So that's another option. I personally have used Facebook and Facebook Live. Now, organic reach on Facebook pages is dead. So here's my method for organic reach on Facebook. What I recommend you do is you create a Facebook profile that has a really nice cover photo and links to your pages, and use that sidebar with the featured image slot and the little about section. And if you go to my Facebook profile, you'll see how I've kind of tricked it out, even though it's technically my profile. So what I do is I go into Facebook groups all the time that have my target audience. And a lot of Facebook groups won't allow you to do any promotion, and that's totally fine. All you have to do is go into that Facebook group and be really cool. Answer questions, solve problems, get to know people. And I would do this every single day, and I'd go and I'd answer 20 or 30 questions. Now, what happens is when you answer that question, not only are you answering the original poster, but you're also, all the people that are on the thread are going to see your response, and all the stalker people who don't ever comment will see it as well. And if they like your response and they like what you said, the next thing that a person does is they hover over your name and they go look on your timeline. They go look at your profile, and there they can kind of get connected to you. So what I would used to do is I would create a really cool post on my timeline that kind of talked about my course and stuff. And then I would just go into groups and be helpful. And they would click on my name and they would see my, I started to call it wall bait. Essentially, they'd see it and they'd follow the crumbs. This works amazingly well if you go into big groups where your audience is living. So Pinterest, podcasting, SEO, blogging, the natural Facebook organic. And then you can also start doing Facebook Lives on your profile because those tend to get good engagement as well. And this is all like the real organic grassroots ways that I recommend. And then finally, what Zach was saying is finding partners, other influencers who have a list or they have an audience, and asking them if they would be willing to promote your products to their list. But it's, you got to build that relationship first. You really have to build that trust with that influencer. And you usually also have to offer them, a significant cut in the proceeds or in the profits.
So I have a question for you, and I'm going to ask this because I think there might be some people feeling like this. So these are really great ways to reach people organically, but there's a lot of ways. So is there one or two platforms that we should be focusing on? Like, let's say when we're starting out or we don't have a big budget, or like, how do you know, or should you just try doing everything and just seeing what sticks?
No. Yeah, so I definitely wouldn't. It really depends on your course. So whatever your niche happens to be. So if you are selling anything food, like let's say food related, right? Instagram is going to be really hot because food pictures do great. Pinterest is going to be really hot. So for like food, DIY, home organization, art, things like that, like Pinterest and Instagram are really hot. If you are selling courses like I am, where the courses are business related for entrepreneurs, for marketing, for things like that, you're gonna wanna be on Facebook for sure. And I don't really know that much about Twitter. I'm sorry, Twitter, but I don't. And YouTube is really good for like tech-based things where they have to see like demos, like magic tricks, things like that, where it makes a lot of sense for them to like see the video first, and then at the end of your video you put your links and you send people into your funnel that way. Oh, you're muted. We can't hear you.
I'm just having a conversation with myself. No, I think that's a really great point. And please, again, when you guys are watching this, if Julie's saying something that makes sense and you're like, oh my gosh, I should be on Instagram, or why am I on Facebook? I should be doing YouTube videos to do my tech demos. Type them in the chat and let us know. Now,
one thing I'll add real quick,
yes,
sorry to barge in, but I think one thing that is often overlooked is one key advantage that YouTube has as a platform, and of course it won't be for everybody, but the reason that YouTube is such a good platform is because when you post a piece of content on YouTube, the lifespan of that content is so much longer on that platform versus any other platform. Post something on Instagram, 24 hours, 40 hours later, it's gone. Like, people aren't going to see it. Same goes for Facebook. But on YouTube, if you title the video properly and if the content itself is good, that can get views for years. It'll be indexed in YouTube. So that's what makes YouTube an especially good platform. It's a great way to publish evergreen content and kind of build a foundation where people are going to continue to be discovering that piece of content for a long period of time.
That's actually a really great point. But what would you say then, Asad? And I'm not sure. I think there's quite a few people are thinking this, but what if you're shy? What if you know that you should be doing demos, but you're like, I don't want to be on camera, or I'll just show my hands, like if you're doing magic tricks on the side.
Yeah, I felt that too. When I first started, it was literally just my hands. And well, it wasn't necessarily just because I was shy. I mean, I think that was part of it too. But for me, it actually makes a lot of sense to just show my hands. Yeah, I mean, I felt camera shy in the beginning as well. I think everybody does. Like, the feeling of hearing your own voice is still kind of weird for a lot of people. You get over it. I've gotten over it. It didn't take too long. And you get better at it over time. It's a great way to practice your communication, I suppose. So yeah, I mean, it is natural to feel shy. If anyone says that, like, I don't blame you. I think that makes a lot of sense, but it's easy to overcome, and there's a lot of value in overcoming that.
Absolutely. And there's a really great question that I want to dive in from Glenn. Glenn, thank you for being here again. Glenn has been here on almost every panel. So he said, to all panelists, and I'll start with you, Asad, just because we're on this topic, would you agree that the social media channels are best used in collaboration with direct email newsletters and maybe potentially Facebook bots, but meaning that all of your followers should have received your update notification? Or is it okay just to rely on a platform like YouTube or Instagram? And we kind of touched on this, but
yeah, I mean, for the longest time, for a while, I relied just on YouTube, and it worked. But yeah, as the brand grew and as I developed, I definitely make use of the other platforms and other notification means to drive as much traffic I can to a new video that I publish. So yeah, I'll definitely go on Facebook and I'll post like a little tease of the video and say, hey, if you want to see the full thing, go check it out. And I'll shoot out an email newsletter saying, hey, new content, and then like a lot of other stuff in the newsletter. I have a mobile app for my brand now, so I'll send out push notifications saying, hey, new video up. Because yeah, I think one of the problems, maybe not a problem, but like it happens to every platform in the same way that Facebook is more difficult to reach or audience organically. Same thing has kind of happened to YouTube as well, where it's, you know, even if you're subscribed to a channel, sometimes some people, subscribers may not see new videos just because of the way that YouTube has changed and the homepage is no longer the subscription fee. It's like trending videos. So yeah, I think it's a good idea to find as many ways as possible to let people know when you have something new come out. But, you know, live everywhere, you know, be everywhere. I think it's good advice.
And Zach, how about you? Have you been using an email list, or are you just relying? Because I think it's so easy to focus on one platform, but it's like you were saying, if the algorithm changes, then what do you do? Have you been
Yeah.
growing a list as well, or?
So yeah, we definitely have, and it's a focus. You do not want to be at the mercy of the platform. It's not yours, and that's one thing that I've noticed is the email is mine, it's ours, like 100%. So just figuring out a way to not have an over call to action, not saying, "Hey, join my email list" all the time, but just subtly throwing it in there, just sneaking it in there, and then also marketing to the email list. Not marketing, just letting them know that we have our content that was just put out. And so we do have that newsletter that goes out, and it's kind of just talking about, because we have a bunch of different platforms and different things go on different platforms, and letting them know, okay, this is kind of what happened. And that's the biggest thing. And Asad was talking about YouTube, and how on YouTube you can just slowly get a bunch of views over time because it's still relevant and people still search it, and how you're ranked in Google, I mean, on YouTube search and everything like that. But I see your Instagram as a portfolio, in the sense like anytime I do anything, I look and see what their Instagram page is, and I scroll and I see. Like, I do that all the time. And then I'll go watch their YouTube channel, because YouTube takes a lot of time to watch somebody's videos. So if I click on your video to watch, I better know, like, and trust you if I'm somebody who values my time. And YouTube is a lot harder to binge consume than Instagram. I can literally just scroll for days on Instagram and it doesn't feel like it's that much work. But me having to tentatively watch a YouTube video, that feels like it's a lot of work. And so I see the balance here, because we built up both of them, and we understand and we see the how they can commingle and how they can help each other, but then how they're completely different. Just like Asad said, on your content should be native to the platform. And also, we were talking about, like, oh, my phone. Oops.
Speaking of
We were
Instagram.
we were talking about Pinterest. Like, that's another thing that we're definitely looking into a heck of a lot more, because we have a big presence on Pinterest, but not because of us, because people have pinned our stuff all over into Pinterest. But we want to have bigger presence, so we're looking to bring somebody on our team that just specifically specializes in that platform. So it's just, the biggest thing is just speaking the platform's language, never putting your understanding what's your biggest one, but not putting all your eggs in one basket. Because if something happens to Instagram, what's going to happen? Like, or if something happens to YouTube, what's going to happen? These things, things are going to happen. Things evolve, and you got to be able to stay in tune with that. And that's the biggest thing I can advise is stay native, speak the language of the platform, and always be figuring out how to co-build all of them at the same time, and have them kind of funnel into each other. But know that email list, nobody can take that from you.
Yeah. And Julie, our marketing queen here, our funnels queen, I know you're probably a very big fan of emails, but what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts with, using other platforms versus an email list?
Yeah, so you really should have things that you own, right? That you are not relying on a platform. And right now, the primary things that you can own that for yourself are names, emails, and phone numbers. And so depending on your course, you always want to try to get their name, their email, and their phone number, no matter what platform you use. And of course, there's lots of ways to notify people now. We've got Facebook Messenger bots, we've got, the YouTube videos, live streams, all that kind of stuff. But building an email list still is extraordinarily effective, even for the younger generations. Now, it may not be as effective for like open rates. So right now we're seeing that people who are using messenger bots on Facebook ads are getting open rates much higher. But you know what? That sun is going to set eventually, once messenger bots become as mainstream as email. So you're always fighting that tide of like, what's the new thing? What am I doing? Chasing the algorithm. But at the end of the day, name, email, and phone number are those fields that you always want to collect. And I think it's really hard sometimes when you're hearing all of us talk about this kind of stuff. And if you're new to the online course world, you might be like, oh my gosh, I just thought building my course was overwhelming. Now I'm like thinking about like so much stuff. And I know that it's really overwhelming. And a lot of us, we want to do things very systematically. We want to build our course, and then we want to launch it. And then we want to, make a lot of money, right? We want to do that. But what you're hearing from all three of us is that, and as hard as this is to hear, if you have a passion in a particular industry, it's far more viable to bond and attach yourself to an audience than to become obsessed with a product. So what I mean by that is, like, let's say that you love horses and you want to teach people how to care for horses, ride them. This is like your passion. The traditional way would be to get obsessed over a particular course, like I'm going to build this course. But what we're all saying in all very different ways is, I would rather you go find the people who like horses and attach yourself to them, whether it's through Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, and build products that they want. Because you know what? The bottom line is, if you launch a course and it doesn't do exactly what you expected, it wasn't the greatest launch ever, you've still grown that audience. You can just try a different product and try a different product, but you've always got the audience, you've got the relationship, you've got the bond. And too many people act like mad scientists where they lock themselves up in their closet for 6 months, slaving away at this course, and then they just can't bear the emotional letdown if it doesn't make $1 million in 5 minutes. So I encourage all of you who want to make a living doing courses to get really passionate about your audience and get really passionate about building those relationships. Because I've had courses that have made $100,000 and I've had courses that have only made $9,000. And that's okay, because I can keep delivering to those people because I've built that relationship. And that is 90% of the course business, is attaching yourself to the people, finding the people, serving the people, and then giving them the products that they want.
Oh, that is so good. I want to reiterate that is find your focus on your audience. And I'm sure that you found, as you're growing your audience, you start hearing things that they're saying, things that they're struggling with. And it's almost like they create the product.
Exactly. Exactly. And it's funny, we had this really big program. It was $1,000 program and people were buying it, but we kept hearing over and over again, I don't have money to buy it. Like, once I get my first client, then I'll buy it. And so we created a product based on that feedback. And after you get really good at this and you start to really understand the pulse of your audience, you are pretty 99% sure that the next thing you produce, they're going to want, because you're so in touch with what they need and they're telling you what they need and you're responding and you're creating those products. And believe it or not, everybody, people are so much more forgiving of like we're all so worried about our course content. What do our workbooks look like? What do our, slides look like, and how it all looks? And you know what? At the end of the day, people just want the result of whatever the course is, even if it's not perfect. I mean, I've made a lot of money with courses that are not perfect at all because I've spent the bulk of my time building that relationship.
That's such good advice. And I just have one quick question, follow-up question. You said to get their name, email, and phone number. And I think some people are wondering this as well. Do you call people or text them, or where does the phone number come in?
Yeah, so you can do it, you can use it for texting. So there are funnels where you can send text notifications. So I tend to focus on high-end courses. So these are courses that are usually between $500 and $3,000. These are bigger products. They tend to be in the B2B, business-to-business space. And so oftentimes we sell these best off of webinars, something like you're watching now, where I produce, I give you content, then I do a pitch. And depending on the price of the course, text notifications for reminders for emails, or sometimes we just use good old-fashioned sales calls. I've just created a program that I'm using with sales calls, and it's a course program, and that's working great. So whether you use it for text or for calls, don't discount the phone still. I know it sounds silly, but it's true.
And it probably adds more of a personal connection. Asad, have you done anything like that? Have you talked to people on the phone?
Oh, I just had a quick question. How do you collect the phone numbers? Like, is that built into your email opt-in? Because I haven't done that before, but I'm really curious about it now.
Yeah, so I use ClickFunnels for all of my funnel building. And so for those of you who don't know what a funnel is, it sounds like a type of food. It's basically a series of web pages and emails that take people down a yellow brick road, so they have no idea who you are. And then on this side, they're like raving fan loyal customers. So there's a path of web pages and emails that you create to get them down there. And ClickFunnels is the program I use. And then what happens is once they've gone through that, then they enter into their Teachable school and they get all their goodies and stuff like that. So I collect phone number right through there.
So do you collect the phone number immediately once they give your email address, or is that part of the funnel, like later on?
It depends. It depends. I mean, you know, for a high-end product, like I'm just working on a $12,000 program right now, like I need the phone number right away. And that's an application. You know, you don't just get the course. So for those of you who are in business to business, creating this application and calls sometimes works better for your course. And then once they sign up, then they get into your Teachable school. But for business to customer, you can use the phone field for something like Twilio, which is like a text service where you can, you know, notify people and give them push notifications that way.
Interesting. And just for everyone that is wanting to know more about funnels, we have on the 20th, so on Monday, we have Ryan Dice doing an entire workshop masterclass on funnels. So if you want to learn more about that, Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern, we'll be covering that. Guys, this is so great. I'm learning a lot. I wish I could take notes while I'm doing this, but unfortunately, I can't. I'll have to watch the replay. But I'd love for us just to give everyone that's watching this some final words of parting advice. You guys have launched several courses. You know, you've been doing this for a while. What is one lesson that you've learned that you wish you knew when you started? And Zach, we'll start with you.
Gosh, it's like understanding that it's not going to come overnight. Like the simple understanding that this is a journey, but knowing that in the micro, in the day-to-day, it's going to feel like forever. But then you're going to look back in a year and be like, oh my gosh, look what I've accomplished. And I just want you guys to think of it just like exponential. So like I actually have an economics background, and just understanding the multiplier. 1 then equals 2. 2 then equals 4. 4 then equals 16. 16 then equals 64. So just understanding that momentum is the most powerful thing in the world. And knowing that, just like how I built my Instagram, knowing that every single day in the beginning, your first 1,000 followers is the hardest, but then it just starts to multiply. You get better and better, and you never want to let that momentum stop. Maybe one day you only get a little bit better, but you never want it to go back to 1 then equals 2. You want it to kind of hover, or you get a little bit better, but you never have a day where you're like, man, I didn't really get better today. Just learn one new thing. Do one new thing, or something that makes you better. Yeah, that's not tactical advice, but that's just what I've learned. You're not going to have the answer, but just go at it knowing that you don't have the answer, but you're going to figure it out. It's only a matter of time. And if you take that mindset with anything that you're doing, no matter if it's in business and life in general, you'll have this peace of mind that it's only a matter of time. Mm-hmm. It's only a matter of time, because the moment you feel like you need to rush is the moment your message is going to come off wrong to your following, or the people that know, like, and trust you. And then you lose that the long term. So that would be my biggest thing, is I would understand in the beginning, when I first started, is knowing that it's only a matter of time. And if you have that demeanor about you, everybody else believes it as well. And they truly want that.
That's brilliant. And looking at what you've done now, I think it shows that it really is just a matter of time. And Asad, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I would say mine is somewhat similar to Zach's. It's just focusing on consistency. I think that's one of the most important qualities that you can have if you're pursuing, making a living online and whatnot, because you really have to build for the long term. This doesn't happen fast. It's a lot of baby steps, and you have to have that strong long-term vision, and then just take tiny steps to get there, and consistently build your brand, create content, and provide value to your audience over a long period of time. And then eventually it's going to pay back, tenfold. But just focus on that long-term vision, build for the long term, and provide value, create value, help people in the way that you can. And eventually you can build a really powerful business off of that helps you create the lifestyle that you want for yourself.
Love it. Thank you, Asad. And last but not least, we have Julie.
Yeah, I think one thing that I really wish someone had told me when I first started is you're not in the business of your thing, you're in the business of selling your thing. And that's not slimy or weird to say that. So like Steve Jobs, you know what? He wasn't in the business of iPhones. He was in the business of selling the iPhone. Do you know what I mean? So you need to really fall in love with selling and marketing your product. And I think a lot of us have some weird hangups and mindset issues with selling because we associate it with, you know, used car salesman, or, you know, we just kind of have like all these weird like hangups. But at the end of the day, if you're selling something that's really going to make a difference in someone's life, it's going to give them a new skill. It's going to give them a new hobby. It's going to add meaning to their life. It's going to build their business, make them money, save them money, whatever it is, you know, it is your like responsibility to do the best job you can at really focusing on selling that thing, because you know it's really going to help them. And so many of us in the course world, we get stuck on our features, like, ooh, this is what you're going to get. It's this many modules. So therefore it must be this much money. And we get really stuck on the features. And good copywriters will tell you that there's features, which are awesome. And then there are benefits, which is like what the result is. And you know, you want to think about that. Like when they come out of this course, what do they understand now that they didn't before? But then there's the third step, and the most important step all the time is meaning. And what does that mean? So if you're selling a course on how to save money at Disney World, maybe it's a workbook and a couple videos. That's the features. The benefits, what are the benefits? You get to save money when you go to Disney World. But what is the meaning? The meaning is that you can create lasting memories that your kids are going to remember as adults and as grandparents for the rest of their lives. And so when you start to fall in love with the process of selling something, then the sales come in, and then you can deliver the impact that you want to make. And so I think at the end of the day, it's like, as much as we love building courses, we really need to fall in love with the marketing of them to really be able to make it last.
Such great parting advice. And I really, people have been asking in the chat. I want to say one more time, thank you everyone for being here. Can you please say, we'll start with you, Zach, where can we stay connected? We said at the beginning, but let's one more time, where can people stay connected with you?
Yeah, so I would say the big one is this on Instagram. You could just search The Flexible Dieting Lifestyle. It should pop up right away. Just give us a follow. And if you were on this actual webinar, shoot me a DM. One of my job descriptions is, we get so many of them, but I have a great team around me to where I engage with my audience all the time. Like literally my job description and literally everything I do is here. Like I don't even really need a laptop. So my job is answering all comments, DMs, engaging, being active on my stories, creating content, and just being hyper aware. I don't really consume content anymore. All I do is engage with my audience and I listen to what they're saying, and then we can create things that they want. And that's the beauty of it. So I would say The Flexible Dieting Lifestyle on Instagram. You can go to flexibledietinglifestyle.com, check out everything that we have on there. And that would be the two big places that I would say to definitely reach out to me on.
Perfect. And I encourage everyone just to have a look at all of our panelists and just see what they're doing, because they're practicing what they're preaching. So you can go onto Asad's YouTube channel. You can look at Zach's Instagram. But Asad, where's the best place to stay connected with you?
Yeah, I would just say go to 52cards.com. It's cards with a K. And then from there, you'll be able to find all the other social networks. We also have an app on the Apple Store and the Google Play Store, which is 52 Cards with a K again. So yeah, those are some good places where you can kind of see everything that's going on behind the scenes.
Brilliant. And Julie, where can we stay connected with you and see all of your amazing work?
Yeah, so I am primarily on Facebook. So I just put in the chat for everybody, it's facebook.com/Julie Stoyan Live. That's my Facebook business page, and you can find me there. You can also find me on Facebook as Julie Stoyan. I have a pretty active profile, so you can follow me there as well. And then I have a website with my brand, and it's createyourlaptoplife.com.
Awesome. And I'll add in the links once we're finished, and you'll see it pop up in my orange profile. But Asad, Julie, Zach, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all of you for taking the time on your Thursday evening to be here instead of going for happy hour. We appreciate it. And don't forget that tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern, we'll be doing our workshop on creating the content and outlining everything that you need for your course with Regina. We'll talk to you guys soon.